it was hard sitting on the bench. I'm not going to lie. There were certainly some hard days, but, I think it taught myself how to be a really good leader and how to be a really good teammate and how to empathize for your teammates in certain situations. When you're in the heat of battle, your emotions are high and, you feel things differently. And I think when you're on the sidelines and you don't have your jersey on, you can observe and really watch people and learn about people.
After 3 months of radio silence, Caitlin Clark finally speaks out, and she doesn't hold back. In her first interview since going down with a brutal injury that ended her season, Caitlin opens up about the moment it happened, how devastating it was to sit on the sidelines, and the emotional roller coaster of rehab. From fighting through pain behind the scenes to staying mentally locked in while fans speculated, she's finally telling her side of the story. And you won't believe what she reveals about how it all went down. Let's wish Caitlin a speedy and full recovery down in the comments below. Let's go.
Caitlin, what's the status of your health right now, and what specifically injury-wise between the ankle and the groin was it that prevented you from coming back this year?
Yeah, honestly, I've been working really hard to get back to full health, and I feel like probably over these last couple of weeks is when I've probably started feeling my best. Obviously, my ankle kind of didn't allow me to really see where my groin was at. It was, I think, my second full court workout back when we were in, I don't even know what month that would have been, but I just went to kind of make a move, and unfortunately my ankle completely rolled all the way forward, and probably one of the worst sprains I've dealt with.
Caitlin's season wasn't supposed to end like this. She was grinding her way through a groin injury when, during a routine workout, her ankle gave out in one of the worst sprains she's ever had. Just like that, her comeback plan took a major hit. What makes it even tougher is that she never got that one defining moment. No final game, no clear end. Every day, she showed up believing she'd get back on the court, only to be met with more setbacks. That kind of mental toll? It's exhausting in a way fans rarely see.
I've just tried to stay positive the best I can, and but I honestly feel like I'm in a really good spot, and people don't always realize. People that are kind of in the basketball world, or whether if you're in other sports too, when you're injured, it's honestly more work than when you're playing. So I've spent so much time here in this building this season, just trying to get healthy and trying to kind of just get back to 100%. And honestly, I think that, if I never was, I obviously played that game in Connecticut, and that's where I kind of felt some more pain in my right groin, and then obviously had some tests and other things done. And, there was no decision of this is the end of my season. I had full intention of returning, and I think in a way that was probably positive for me because that's how I approached every single day.
But even through the pain, Caitlin kept her head down and her hope alive. What people don't realize, she says, is that being injured is often more grueling than playing. The long hours in the gym, the isolation, the constant questions. It's a different kind of battle. Still, she powered through day by day, with no certainty and no spotlight. Just work. That's the part of her journey we rarely hear about. Until now.
I came in here I was going to play, I was going to get back out on the court, and it probably would have been even more devastating and crushing knowing that I was never going to be able to put my uniform back on for the rest of the season. But, you just approach it every single day you attack and get better, and it'll be the same for me going forward. That work doesn't stop, and, I think I've had really good perspective on it all, and that's probably what I'm most proud of too.
There's a huge difference between looking healthy and actually being ready to play. And Caitlin breaks that down better than anyone. She explains how shooting spot-up jumpers or jogging through drills isn't even close to simulating real game action. In a live game, you're not thinking about how you plant your foot or cut to the basket. You just move. And when you've been hurt, that unconscious movement is the scariest part. Your body has to trust itself again, and that only comes through 5-on-5 play and taking hits.
I think that's probably where people struggle to understand at times is there is a huge difference than me standing there and shooting spot shots and running up and down. But in a basketball game, I'm not thinking oh, I'm planting here, oh, I'm cutting, oh, I'm doing this, oh, I'm doing that. You're just doing it. So your muscles need to be able to react and withstand that type of stuff. So that's where the 5-on-5 becomes really critical. And then obviously the contact piece of it too. Like you don't know where you're going to be taking contact from, but you know, my goal, it was the end of October to kind of be out there and trying to get back to playing 5-on-5. And
That's why her return to full speed action isn't just about timelines. It's about trust. Caitlin targets late October as her goal to get back into full competitive mode. But even then, it's not just about physical recovery. It's about building confidence with every cut, every sprint, every moment of contact. She knows the road back isn't linear, but she's locked in. And she's coming back smarter, tougher, and more prepared than ever.
I've been grinding as hard as I possibly can. And, you know, that's how it's always kind of just been for me. Like, I love the work. I love putting in the work. And, you know, it's been difficult not being able to, like, see the time you put in, being able to put on your jersey and see it pay off. But I think, like I said, I think it's been a really good opportunity for me to learn a lot about myself and, you know, certain lessons that will probably be really important throughout my career as well.
For someone as competitive as Caitlin Clark, watching from the sidelines was nothing short of torture. But it also became one of the most powerful learning experiences of her career. Stripped of her ability to impact the game directly, she was forced to slow down and see the game, and her teammates, in a whole new way. She learned how to lead with her voice, not just her play. How to listen more. How to be present for her team even when she couldn't be on the floor.
In the huddle and almost take on the role of another set of coaching eyes with this group this season.
I mean, it's not what I envisioned by any means. But, you know, I've talked with a few people about this. I think, you know, when I get a few years down here in my career, like, I think this is a moment in a season I'll look back on and be like, this is why I am who I am today. And that's obviously probably pretty challenging to think in that way right now, but I truly believe that. And, you know, it was hard sitting on the bench, I'm not going to lie.
Caitlin admits it wasn't easy. There were hard days, moments of frustration, and times she just wanted to be out there fighting with her team. But in that space, she found something deeper: empathy. She began to truly understand what her teammates were going through, not just physically, but emotionally. And that kind of awareness, she says, is what great leaders are made of.
And, you know, I don't think it was so much for me like the basketball. I mean, like, obviously you learn about basketball. That's always how I've learned. I've been a basketball junkie. Like, you watch games, you watch the NBA, you watch college, you just have basketball on. That's the best way to improve your IQ. But also to learn about people and ask them questions and watch the way they operate. And for myself, getting to do that with my teammates, I think is probably the biggest lesson I learned. And just, you know, how can I show up every single day and, you know, pour into them.
This stretch away from the court might not have given her highlights or headlines, but it gave her perspective. It reminded her what it means to be a great teammate, how to show up for people when the lights aren't shining, and how leadership goes far beyond stats. And when she returns, that emotional intelligence is going to make her even more dangerous.
Going forward down the road, like, if I have a teammate that's injured or hurt or going through a tough moment, like, I know I will always show up for them and be there for them and check in on them, because it is an incredibly isolating thing, and you don't realize that until you go through it. And, you know, everybody says it, like, but you don't feel it unless you go through it. So I think all of that is probably what I learned most.
Throughout her rehab, one constant for Caitlin was Aaliyah Boston. She lit up when talking about her, not just as a teammate, but as a friend who showed up every day with encouragement, empathy, and leadership. Aaliyah was the rock that helped steady the team, and Caitlin made it clear just how much that meant during the darker moments of recovery. That relationship between point guard and post? It's deeper than X's and O's, and it's built on trust, communication, and genuine care.
I mean, I think it's obviously AB's tremendous. Like, we've always had a great relationship, and that's what exactly you need between your post and your point guard. And she's always been somebody that's been there to check in and pick me up. But I think that goes for our entire team, and I think that speaks for our entire season. I don't think it would be, you know, I don't think we would have had the type of success that we had if it wasn't for the friendship or the empathy people showed one another, or the next man up mentality. Like, that was shown across the board in our locker room.
But Aaliyah wasn't alone in that support. Caitlin credited the entire locker room for rallying together with a next woman up mentality. Whether it was a starter going down or a new face stepping in, the culture stayed consistent. Show up for each other. That bond is what kept the Fever competitive all year long, even as injuries piled up. And for Caitlin, it wasn't just comforting, it was inspiring.
Whether it was, for myself or whether it was for somebody that came in mid-season and got hurt, like it was always the same. Like you always care for your teammates in the same manner. So, obviously AB was tremendous in that role, and I think she had an incredible year, but honestly, our entire roster really excelled in that area.
Being on the bench gave Caitlin a front row seat to how her teammates handled pressure, adversity, and each other. She got to see the dynamics that play out when you're not on the floor. Who lifts who? Who responds to what kind of motivation? These small insights shaped her understanding of leadership in ways that playing never could. She wasn't just watching basketball, she was watching people.
With respect to your recovery, looking down the line, have you explored opportunities maybe to play 5-on-5 during the offseason as part of kind of that ramp up so that you're ready for next season and have played actual basketball before things start up again in the summer?
Yeah, I think you always explore every opportunity, and I haven't made any decisions, and I don't know, what that's necessarily going to look like for me. Like I said, there's some USA basketball stuff that is probably my top priority right now that I need to prepare for, and I think that will help me prepare for next season too. But obviously, then you have to prepare for USA basketball in some manner. So that, there's just a lot of different things you got to figure out and balance, and, I'll work through a lot of that too.
It made her reflect on how she wants to lead moving forward. Not just as the fiery competitor we see on the court, but as someone who listens, encourages, and adapts. The emotional growth she experienced during this stretch will stay with her, and she's already thinking about how to pay it forward to the next teammate who finds themselves sidelined. Because now she truly gets it.
Steph mentioned that it was kind of baby steps and getting back and making sure you don't lose what you've worked on this season. Just what are your plans for the off season and possibly playing or just doing individual workouts?
Yeah, probably take a little bit of a break here, just for maybe a week. I don't really want to lose a ton of the stuff I've worked on, and just trying to get my body back to full health. There's some USA basketball stuff I need to get ready for.
Caitlin isn't wasting time this offseason. She plans to take a brief break, but it's far from a vacation. Her top priority is getting her body back to full strength. Not just healed, but fully conditioned to handle the grind of a full WNBA season. She knows that staying off the court too long can undo the progress she's made, so she's walking a fine line between rest and readiness.
I need to be able to find some runs and some ways to play 5-on-5 just so I can kind of get that feel back. And but more than anything, I think my main focus is really just getting my body healthy. And once we get back to 5-on-5, like just being able to test my body and make sure I know it's in a good spot where it's going to be able to hold up with everything that, we think we've corrected or we think we've worked on, to be able to know I'm in a really good spot there. And, when you go through injuries, especially in my scenario where it's been a few of the reoccurring kind of bouncing around, which isn't necessarily uncommon in my situation just because of compensation.
A big milestone on the horizon? 5-on-5 basketball. It's the final step in her recovery and something she's zeroing in on. She talked about how essential it is to test her body in real game settings, to see how it reacts, how it holds up, and whether the corrections from rehab actually translate when the pressure's on. For Caitlin, it's about confidence, not just knowing she's healthy, but feeling it in every movement, every cut, and every collision.
And when you're dealing with things in that groin area, that just is kind of how it can go sometimes. I think it's important that you can become confident in your body again, and that's for anybody that goes through injury. So that's probably going to be my main focus is, just feeling 100% again, and then obviously, having that confidence in my body too.
And as if that's not enough, she's also preparing for her USA basketball commitments. That means ramping up her intensity, finding high-level runs, and making sure she's peaking at the right time. It's a packed offseason, but for Caitlin, it's not just about getting back. It's about leveling up. After 3 long months of silence, Caitlin Clark didn't just return to the mic. She delivered. Honest, driven, and more focused than ever, her words revealed a player who's not only healing, but evolving. From the grind of rehab to the leadership lessons learned in sweats on the bench, Caitlin's journey has taken a sharp turn. one that could define the next chapter of her career. And if there's one thing that's crystal clear from this interview, it's this: she's not done, not even close. So if you thought the hype around Caitlin Clark was fading, think again. The fire is still there, maybe even burning hotter than ever. Let's wish Caitlin a speedy and full recovery down in the comments below. Like, subscribe, and turn on all notifications so you never miss out. Click the video on the screen, and we will see you in the next one.